What happened when Undercover CEO Zachary Loel visited his own fast food chain? His heart dropped at what the cashier said. Zachary Loel muttered to himself, "What the hell happened to this place?" as he stepped out of his rental car across the street from his own cafe. The cafe, his father's pride and now his, used to have a line out the door every Saturday morning, but today there were only a few scattered customers, two of whom walked out with annoyed faces. Zach adjusted his baseball cap, pulled his hoodie tighter around his face, and crossed the street. He hadn't been inside this location, store number 4 out of 9, for over a year, not since his dad passed and left the business to him. Since then, Zach had been buried in managing the company from the top. Corporate meetings, distributor contracts, payroll systems. He barely knew the names of the store managers now, let alone the baristas. When customer complaints started stacking up online about this location, citing rude staff, long wait times, and cold coffee, Zach asked for answers. The district manager, a guy named Miles, brushed it off as growing pains, but something in his tone didn't sit right. So Zach decided to come in not as the owner, but as just another customer. He grew out his beard, wore prescription glasses, and dressed like a tired college student. No one at this store had ever seen him in person. His father had always handled this location himself. As he stepped through the door, the smell of burnt espresso hit him. The music was too loud for a morning crowd, and one of the counters had a sticky film of syrup spread across it. Zach slid into the short line behind a woman juggling a toddler in a diaper bag. A young barista behind the counter, with platinum blonde hair in a messy bun and her phone tucked under her apron strap, looked up briefly, then looked back down at her nails. "Next," she said flatly. The woman in front of Zach stepped up, placed her order, and fumbled with her wallet while her toddler wailed. The barista rolled her eyes so hard it was visible from the back of the line. Zach stepped up next and asked for a large black coffee, please. The barista didn't say a word, just tapped her screen, held out her hand, and waited. Zach paid in cash and stepped to the side while she prepared it without a single glance his way. He took the coffee and walked toward the back corner near the hallway that led to the employee break room. He wasn't even sure if customers were allowed to sit back there, but he wanted to listen, needed to. He sat quietly, took a sip, lukewarm, and looked around. Only one other customer sat in the cafe now, scrolling through his phone. The place felt cold, not the temperature, but the energy. Then he heard it. Two voices coming from the hallway. Behind the counter, just out of sight, but close enough to catch. "If one more idiot asks for a dairy-free option, I swear I'm going to spit in the drink," one voice said. Female and familiar, it was the barista who served him. A second voice, male, barked a laugh. "You should have seen what I did yesterday. Some dude tried to complain about his coffee being weak. I told him that's what you get for ordering drip at a real cafe." They both laughed. Zach froze. The girl continued, "I don't even care anymore. This place is a joke. We're so short-staffed. They'll never fire us. We run the damn place." Zach's jaw tightened. His heart pounded. The guy added, "I told Miles we should stop wasting time training the new girl. She's too slow. Told him straight up either she speeds up or we cut her hours." Zach's stomach turned. He didn't know there was a new girl, and what the hell kind. Of manager lets baristas decide who works? He stood up, coffee in hand, and walked toward the counter just as the two baristas came back out. The guy was tall, lean, with a smug expression that vanished the moment he saw Zach standing there staring. "Hey, can I help you?" the male barista asked. Zach didn't answer. He turned and walked out the door, not saying a word. Back in his car, he sat in silence for a few minutes, his fingers drumming on the steering wheel. He felt sick. He'd been so focused on the business side, he'd lost sight of what made the company his dad built special. Respect, service, real community. And now, punks like this were poisoning it from the inside. He pulled out his phone and called one of the few people he still trusted in the company, his assistant Lee. I need a full employee list for Store 4, he said. Send me their schedules and find out when the new girl's next shift is. Lee paused. Everything okay? No, Zach said, but it's about to be. Zach stood just outside the back entrance of the cafe, leaning against the brick wall, eyes on the staff parking lot. The sun had barely cleared the rooftops, and the frost on the windshields hadn't started to melt. He checked his watch. 6:23. He'd been sitting in his car since 5:45 waiting. According to the schedule Lee sent, the new hire, Ava, was set to open this morning with the same 2 baristas from yesterday. Zach hadn't slept much. He kept replaying their voices in his head, the way they laughed about cutting someone's hours, like it was a joke. A white Toyota pulled into the lot and parked near the dumpster. A young woman stepped out, pulling a knit hat over her ears and slinging a canvas tote over her shoulder. She paused, glanced at the building like she was trying to gather herself, then walked toward the back door. Zach followed at a distance, keeping just enough space between them. He didn't want to spook her. As she unlocked the door and stepped inside, he caught the door with his foot and slipped in behind her. She turned, startled. Oh, sorry, I thought I locked that. Zach pulled off his hood. You did fine. I'm supposed to be shadowing today. Name's Calb. He extended a hand. She hesitated, then shook it. Ava. You're new, first shift? She nodded, then led him through the narrow hallway toward the staff area. You're not late, so that's already a win. Just a heads up, mornings can be rough, especially if you're not used to the pace. Zach followed her into the back room. It was cramped. 2 metal lockers, a dented mini-fridge, and a folding table with a half-empty box of powdered donuts. Ava pulled off her jacket and wrapped an apron around her waist. Zach did the same, noting how she moved, efficient but with a hint of hesitation, like she was always bracing for correction. You'll probably be on dish and restock, she said. That's usually where they start people. Got it. You like it here? He asked, keeping his tone light. She tightened her apron, then gave a small shrug. It's fine. I just need the hours. I'm in school, so I take what I can get. Before he could ask more, footsteps echoed down the hallway. The door swung open, and the tall barista from yesterday, Logan, according to his name tag, walked in, earbuds around his neck, chewing gum. You're early, he said to Ava, not looking at her. Then he noticed Zach. Who's this? New hire, Ava replied. First day. Logan looked Zach up and down. They keep sending us people. Not sure why we're full. Zach kept his expression neutral. Just doing what I'm told. Logan grabbed an apron off the hook, then turned to Ava. You're on register. Calb, was it? You're on dish. Don't get in the way. He didn't wait for a reply before heading to the front. Zach leaned toward Ava. He always like that? She gave a tight smile, more out of politeness than amusement. Mostly, just keep your head down and you'll be fine. They stepped out onto the main floor. The cafe was still dark, but the pre-opened tasks were in full swing. Counters wiped, pastries arranged, machines warmed up. The blonde barista from yesterday, Mira, was already there, fiddling with the espresso grinder. Morning, Ava offered. Mira didn't respond. She adjusted the grind setting, then walked off without a word. Zach moved to the dish station and started rinsing out pitchers that still had milk residue caked to their sides. The sink area was poorly organized. Cleaning supplies were shoved into a plastic bin that had cracked down the side, and the drain board was missing 2 of its legs, forcing it to tilt awkwardly. Ava moved efficiently through the opening routine, checking the pastry case and aligning cups. Logan barked out orders from behind the counter, his voice loud enough for customers to hear once the doors opened. Mira floated between tasks, rarely looking up. By 7:15, the first customers began to trickle in. Zach kept his head down, watching everything while rinsing and stacking. The morning rush built fast, and so did the tension. I said, "No whipped cream," a woman at the counter snapped. Ava apologized and tried to fix the drink, but before she could, Logan snatched it from her and dumped it in the sink. Do it again, he told her, then turned to the woman. Sorry, she's still learning. The customer glanced at Ava with thinly veiled irritation. Ava didn't say anything. She remade the drink, her hands trembling slightly. Zach caught her eye as she stepped back. You were fine, he said quietly. She gave a small nod but didn't speak. By 8, the cafe was packed. The line stretched nearly to the door and the mobile orders poured in nonstop. Mira started skipping steps. No sleeves on hot cups, underfilled lattes, misread names. Hey, this is supposed to be a cappuccino. Os, man said at the pickup counter. It is, Mira replied, not looking up. It's mostly milk. That's what a cappuccino is? The man raised an eyebrow. No, it's not. I don't make the rules, Mira said, then turned away. Zach watched the man leave, drink untouched, shaking his head. Logan glanced over. Next time just tell him it's a dry latte. They don't know the difference. Mira laughed. Ava didn't. Zach stepped away from the sink and approached Ava at the register. You need a second? She wiped her hands on her apron. No, I'm good. You sure? Your hands are shaking? She paused, then nodded. I'm just trying not to screw up. I need this job. Zach lowered his voice. You're not the problem here. Ava looked at him for a moment. You don't know them yet. Before he could respond, Logan called from the espresso machine. Calb, can you do something useful and dump the mop bucket? It's full. Zach glanced toward the back. Where's the mop sink? Logan didn't answer. Mira waved a hand. Just pour it out by the dumpster. We don't have a mop sink. Zach hesitated. That's not health code. Logan turned. You planning to report us, new guy? Zach didn't reply. He grabbed the bucket and headed toward the back, passing Ava, as she handed off a drink with a quiet, Thank you. Outside, behind the building, he tipped the bucket carefully into the patch of gravel near the dumpster. The smell was awful. He noticed 3 other spots where mop water had clearly been dumped recently, stains on the concrete, sticky residue. When he came back in, Logan was on his phone behind the counter. Mira was restocking syrups with one hand while texting with the other, and Ava was trying to ring up a complicated order while apologizing to the customer for the wait. Zach returned to the dish station and scrubbed harder than necessary at a milk pitcher. He didn't need to see anything else. The apathy, the shortcuts, the way Ava was being slowly crushed under the weight of their indifference. It was systemic, not a couple of bad moods or one rough day. This was rot, and it had taken hold under the very roof he was supposed to be responsible for. He glanced over at Ava. She was wiping the counter, eyes down, shoulders hunched. Zach dried his hands, walked into the back room, and pulled out his phone. Lee, he said when she answered, I need the regional manager here by tonight. We're shutting this place down for a staff reset and retraining, and I want to meet Ava. Off-site somewhere quiet, she hesitated. Everything okay? Zach looked around the break room, the flickering overhead light, the smell of burnt cheese from the toaster, the silence where there should have been pride. Not even close, he said, but we're going to fix it. Ava stepped into the library. Side entrance just past 7 in the evening, her backpack slung low and her coat clutched around her like armor. She spotted the man who'd introduced himself earlier as Calb, waiting near the window, seated at a table with 2 paper cups and a plain manila folder. He stood when he saw her, his posture calm but unreadable. Hey, she said, cautious but polite. You wanted to talk? Zach nodded once. Thanks for coming. Sit down. She hesitated, then pulled out the chair across from him, setting her bag on the floor. The library was nearly empty, just a few scattered students murmuring over textbooks. Outside, the headlights of passing cars cast long, slow-moving shadows. On the wall, Zach pushed one of the cups toward her. Chamomile. I wasn't sure what you liked, but it seemed like a safe bet. She wrapped her hands around the cup, nodding slightly. Thanks. So, what is this? Zach met her eyes. My name's not Calb. It's Zachary Loel. I own the cafe you've been working at. She blinked. Wait, what? I went undercover, he continued. That location has been sliding for months, and I couldn't get a straight answer from anyone in corporate. I needed to see it myself. Ava leaned back, eyebrows pulling together. You're serious? He gave her a moment, letting the weight of it sink in. She looked away briefly, processing. I didn't mean to pull you into anything, he said, but after what I saw today, I couldn't walk away. She looked back at him. So what now? Am I in trouble? No, he said quickly. Not even close. You've been holding that place together. I came here because I wanted to understand what you've been dealing with. Off the record, no managers, no consequences. I just want the truth. She stared at the table, biting the inside of her cheek. Silence stretched between them. Then quietly, she spoke. I almost quit last week, she said, but I need the paycheck. That's the only reason I'm still showing up. What made you want to walk away? Her grip on the cup tightened. It's like you try to do things right, and you're still the problem. Logan told me I was replaceable my second shift. I thought he was joking. Then Mira started leaving me out of tasks, telling me to watch and learn while she skipped steps and blamed me when customers complained. Zach listened, his expression neutral but alert. They don't train anyone, she went on. They just throw you into the rush and get mad when you can't keep up, and if you ask for help, they act like you're wasting their time. How long have so? You been working there? 3 weeks. Her voice was flatter now, and it already feels like a year. Zach nodded slowly. Has anyone from management ever checked in with you? Ava gave a bitter laugh. Miles came in once for 10 minutes, just long enough to ask if we were settling in. Logan stood right next to me the whole time. Zach didn't speak for a few seconds. He reached for the folder and slid it open. Inside was a print out of the last 3 staffing schedules. We're understaffed by at least 2 people for mornings, he said, and nobody's requested additional coverage. The schedules haven't changed in over a month. Ava looked down at the sheet, frowning. That's why Mira's doing closing and opening back to back? I thought she volunteered. She didn't, Zach said. Logan's been submitting the scheduling. Himself and Miles has been approving it without checking shift logs. Ava sat back, the realization landing. So they're just doing whatever they want? Zach closed the folder. Not anymore. She looked at him. What are you going to do? I've already called our regional manager. The store's closing for the next 3 days. We're bringing in a temporary team to clean, restock, and retrain every employee. Ava's eyes widened. You're shutting it down. It's the only way to fix this without putting a bandage over a broken bone. We'll still pay everyone scheduled, but only the ones who show up for retraining will be considered for a hire. Ava stared at him. You're giving them a choice? I believe in second chances, Zach said, but I don't believe in rewarding apathy. Anyone who wants to keep their job will have to earn it. She looked down at her tea, then back at him. What about me? You've already earned yours, he said. We're promoting you to shift supervisor, not just a title. You'll get access to scheduling, be part of store meetings, and we'll pair you with one of our senior trainers. I want your input when we rebuild the team. Her mouth opened, but no words came for a second, then she swallowed. Why me? Because you care, he said plainly. And because you didn't fold even when it would have been easier to. He paused. We need people like you if we're going to fix what's broken. Ava looked down, brushing a thumb along the rim of her cup. I don't know if I'm ready for that. You weren't ready for what they threw at you either, Zach said, but you showed up. That counts. She gave a quiet nod. So, what happens tomorrow? I'll meet you outside the cafe at 7. We'll walk the team through what's changing. Anyone who tries to push back gets one warning. After that, they're out. Ava's jaw tightened slightly. Logan's not going to like that. Zach's tone didn't change. He doesn't have to. She let out a breath, the tension in her shoulders easing for the first time. Okay, I'll be there. Zach stood, slid the folder into his bag, and picked up his coat. Get some rest. Tomorrow's going to be a long day. As Ava gathered her things, she hesitated. Why now? Why not months ago? Zach looked at her for a moment. Because I stopped listening to the floor. I let reports replace reality. That's on me. She nodded once. serious. Then I guess we both have something to prove. He gave her a respectful nod and left without another word. That night, Zach sat in his hotel room staring at the wall. He replayed every conversation in his mind, not just with Ava, but with his own father years earlier, sitting across from him in a booth at their original location. Trust is built from the counter up, his father had said, not the office down. Somewhere along the way, Zach had forgotten that. But tomorrow, he'd start again from the counter up. By the time the sun rose the next morning, a temporary operations crew was already wheeling in crates of cleaning supplies and replacing the warped pastry racks with new ones. A printed closed "O" for internal training sign hung on the cafe's front door. Several regulars paused outside, reading it in confusion, then walked off disappointed, but curious. Zach leaned against the wall just inside, arms crossed, watching as Ava checked the supply list against the clipboard he'd given her. Her hair was tied back tightly, and she moved with quiet purpose. She didn't ask unnecessary questions. She didn't stall. She just worked. Ava turned to him. "The dairy delivery came in late. We're missing oat milk, but I flagged it with the temp lead." Zach nodded. "We'll reroute stock from the Midtown store. Are you good to help walk the others through protocol?" She hesitated. "Depends who shows up." At precisely 7:30, Mira stepped through the front door. She stopped short when she saw the work crew wiping walls and reorganizing station drawers. Her mouth opened, but nothing came out. Then she spotted Zach, now in a charcoal blazer, his beard trimmed, glasses gone. You're the owner?" Ava looked over from the register, saying nothing. Zach stepped forward. "Yes. You're Mira, right?" She blinked twice, then gave a short nod. "Yeah, I didn't know. Nobody said anything." "No one was supposed to. We're changing that," he said. "You're still on the payroll, but this is a clean slate. If you want to be part of the new team, you'll need to go through retraining, like everyone else." Her eyes flicked around the store. "So you're firing people?" "We're offering a chance to stay." "That's different." She shifted her weight. "And if we don't want to?" "You can leave. No hard feelings. But if you stay, things will be done right. No exceptions." She didn't respond. Instead, she walked to the back slowly, like she was still trying to figure out if this was real. Logan arrived 15 minutes later, wearing the same ratty hoodie from the day before. He paused outside the door, watching the activity inside. When he finally walked in, he didn't look at Zach. His eyes went straight to Ava. "What is this?" he asked, voice low. Zach stepped between them. "Training. Restructuring. You're welcome to take part." Logan scoffed. "You can't just come in and—" "I can," Zach interrupted. "I own the company. You've been running this store without oversight for too long. That ends now." Logan looked at Ava. "You told him everything?" "I didn't have to," she said. "You did that yourself." He turned back to Zach. "This is ridiculous. We've been doing the best we can. You pull staff, you cut hours, and now we're the bad guys?" Zach didn't raise his voice. "You submitted falsified time logs. You ignored health code. You intimidated staff. That's not doing your best. That's abusing your position." Logan crossed his arms. "So what? I'm fired?" "You're not a fit for the direction we're going. You'll be compensated for the past 2 weeks. After that, your access to company systems will be terminated." There was a pause. Logan stared at him, then let out a short laugh that didn't reach his eyes. "Unbelievable." He turned and walked out without another word. Zach let out a slow breath. Mira, who'd returned to the counter during the exchange, stood quietly watching. "I didn't know he was doing all that," she said. "I just thought he had authority." "No one has authority without accountability," Zach replied. "If you're staying, that's what we expect." She nodded, subdued. "I'll stay." By 9, the rest of the remaining staff had trickled in. Some of them looked embarrassed, others confused, but they listened as the new protocols were explained. Sanitation procedures, scheduling transparency, customer interaction standards. Ava led the walkthroughs with a quiet steadiness that surprised even her. Zach stayed off to the side, intervening only when necessary. He watched how Ava clarified questions without condescension, how she redirected Mira when she reached for her phone, how she didn't flinch when asked why things were changing. They weren't working, she said plainly, and we deserve better than that. By late afternoon, the work crew had finished deep cleaning the kitchen. A new mop sink had been installed near the back hallway, and a rotating break schedule was posted on the staff fridge. Ava stood before it, reviewing it line by line. Zach joined her. "Think we missed anything?" She tapped one of the slots. "We'll need to stagger lunch breaks tighter on weekends if we're not careful. We'll lose coverage between noon and 2. Zach nodded. "Good catch." She glanced at him. "So this is permanent? All of it?" "As long as it works," he said. "But it's not just about rules, it's about culture. That doesn't change overnight." "I know," she said, "but it starts somewhere." He studied her for a moment. There was no hesitation in her voice now, no trace of the girl who had once apologized for handing off a coffee too slowly. "You ever think about management long-term?" he asked. She blinked. "Are you offering?" "Not yet, but I'm watching." At closing time, the temporary team packed up. The cafe would reopen to the public the next morning, with only 3 original staff members remaining: Ava, Mira, and a part-timer named Theo, who had quietly kept his head down through the chaos, and now was stepping forward for the first time. As Zach turned out the lights, Mira approached him. "I've been thinking," she said. "I've been working in cafes since I was 17. I used to like it. Then it just became about getting through the shift." He didn't say anything. "I want to like it again," she continued. "I don't know if I can lead, but I'll show up." "That's a start," he said. Outside, the evening was quiet. Zach locked the door, then handed the keys to Ava. "You'll open tomorrow." She took them. "I've got it." He stepped back. "Call me if anything feels off, and I mean anything." She nodded, then pocketed the keys. As he walked to his car, he glanced back and saw her standing at the door, looking through the glass at the space they just rebuilt together, not with new counters or banners or slogans, but with the hard, steady rebuilding of trust. Inside, the coffee machines gleamed, the tables were clean, the air no longer carried the weight of exhaustion. It had taken 3 days, but the rot had been cut out, and now finally the cafe was ready to live again.